Welcome back. We are diving into the Visibility Codex for your social media presence because we've talked about how social media is essentially a mirror for your energy, your wounds, your trauma, whatever you've got going on in your field. Social media is going to just hand it right back to you on a silver platter. And so, what we want to look at is the energy behind your presence, right? So, we can think about this as a brand, but this is really the energetic frequency, your energetic signature, and all that you are going to create on social media. This is from your bio to your page, to your content, to your captions. This will be the foundation for that. So before you post another piece of content or before you post your very first piece of content, take a moment to feel into the foundation of your energetic brand. Okay. I want you to just feel into that for a moment. Who are you and what do you transmute? So you're not just a coach, you're not just a healer, you're not just a Reiki practitioner or a business coach or a whatever. We can fill in the blank with a million different titles. That's a title. But who are you on an energetic level? So think of the moments where do you feel the most like yourself, right? Whether it be online or in real life. Maybe it's when you're sharing a message that's straight from your heart. Maybe it's when you are helping a stranger through a problem or talking to your bestie while you're going for a walk. Maybe it's when you're hiking and downloading and channeling information. Maybe it's when you are just in your most relaxed state, whatever that is for you. That energy, that frequency is your brand essence. And that is what we want to communicate. So your brand is not just about your colors or your fonts or your tagline. It's a vibration, it's a frequency, and people will feel it the second they interact with you in any capacity. So ask yourself, what do people feel in my presence? And you probably will already have a lot of this information, right? If you did the Break Free and Be Seen course, we dove into this pretty deeply. And then if you did the personal branding course and the media course, you really know how to talk about what you're doing, your offers, and how to communicate the transformation you're bringing to the world. So I do recommend you do both of those before diving into the social media. But if you are coming first into the social media, then dive right in. What do people feel in your presence? And what transformation or permission does your energy offer them? So I can give you an example. For me, I carry an energetic signature, like my codes and my frequencies, we all have them. My codes and frequencies are transformation, liberation, and a massive up level. So it's big, big transformations and big up levels that match that energy once you get through that liberating aspect. So when someone's soul is attracted to my codes, that means there's a resonance and their soul is ready for transformation, liberation, a big up level. Whether or not their human avatar acts on that is totally up to them, right? We all have free will here. Everybody carries a unique energetic signature. So if you're teaching on abundance or you're teaching on, I don't know, a certain healing modality, your codes are written into that. This is why sometimes someone will buy something from me and like not even take the course or do the thing and they get a transformation because they've literally interacted with my codes. This is why a couple weeks ago I was trying to create something and I felt blocked and I went and bought this course on something and I didn't even take the course yet. And like the block was instantly removed. So we're energetically aligning to that frequency, but we're also receiving the codes just by that energetic exchange. So remember, and you've heard me talk about this probably throughout all of the different courses, your frequency does the work for you. Your codes do the work way more than your healing modalities or your business frameworks or whatever else does. So that's why it's so important to understand what your codes and your frequency are. So, what do people feel in your presence and what transformation or permission is your energy giving them? Right? So, think about that and take some time to dive in. And then I also want to bring you into your visibility codes, both from an astrology and human design aspect. And here's what I will say. Again, I take everything with a grain of salt. So, with my astrology and my human design, it was incredibly helpful for me to rediscover who I was because often, especially for trauma survivors, you have been living a life where you have been so suppressed, you've probably lost a lot of your personality. Even just working in corporate starts to shred your personality away and what's acceptable, right? And so, this really helped guide me back to who I was and what my natural way of communication was before I was like worried about how would perceive me or before I was worried about like, getting punished or something or having some type of a consequence for expression. So it's super helpful to have, but it's also take it as a suggestion. If something doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. Okay. Um, And then I want to go into the energy of taking all of that together and creating like your blueprint of who you are, how you're supposed to show up, your timing, all your natural energies and essences to use. And you get to create this with these tools, but then this becomes your blueprint for how you show up and express yourself in the world. And I always teach that your social media and your real life should be the same. Like if you see me in real life at any given moment, I'm exactly as I am on my social media videos. I'm usually wearing a tank top or a sweatshirt. I'm usually about to work out or I've just gotten back from working out. I'm a very active person, so I'm almost always in comfy clothes during my day because I'm moving so much. I'm almost always still going to be deep diving and teaching whoever's around me because as soon as I'm like lit up by information, I just have to like tell everybody like these are my natural essences. And so that's what works for me. And I can use that to push my natural broadcast out into the world in a way that rewards me. So you want to use that for yourself too, right? Okay, so we're going to dive into your astrology visibility codes, and this is going to give you a map to your most natural expression as it is cosmically written before you even got here, right? So remember, none of this is telling you who you are or how to be. It is just telling you what was already written in the stars before the world started to mold and shape you into something, okay? And in the Break Free and Be Seen course, you've already gone through and done your soul codes, which is your destiny, your purpose, your mission, the things you came here to overcome, your karma. So all of that comes into your message and the transformation that you're here to deliver. And then these codes are about how you are meant to push that out into the world in a way that is natural to you and in a way that naturally aligns with the people you're here to help and serve. Okay. Now, with this, I'm going to give you the placements that I feel are the most valuable. I also strongly encourage every single person to dive into your astrology, dive into your human design. There's so much more helpful information than what I'm including here because I'm solely focused on your social media expression here. But there's so much in there that is like absolute gold to help you navigate your business, your life, all of the things. So feel free to also look for other things that could help you in visibility, but this is where I would recommend, and this is what's been most successful. The first thing you want to look at is your rising sign. This is the first impression that people have when they experience you right away, like right when they meet you, whether in person or online. So go through and look at each of the signs. I put as much information as I could in here of like what is most expected, but again, go down the rabbit hole. I say that throughout all of these programs, but if this were me and I was coming across this information for the very first time and I'm an Aries rising, I would go and Google, what do I need to know about an Aries rising? What is best for Aries risings when it comes to visibility? Like ask different questions, but I love to go down a rabbit hole. That's how I take in information and gather and get ideas and inspiration versus someone just telling me. So again, I do recommend you do that, but I did try to collect as much information as possible for those who just want to move right through. Okay. So you're going to grab your rising sign and it's going to tell you, like for an Aries, they're bold, direct, pioneering energy. People feel your leadership and your courage. So you thrive in a spontaneous, action oriented content. This is me. I'm an Aries rising. So this is very spot on for me. Um, as opposed to a Leo who is naturally radiant, magnetic, creative. You're meant to be seen. Like you are here to be seen and you need to embody that energy. So just go through your rising sign. Okay, and then you're going to go through your sun sign. So this is your core expression, the energy that you're here to radiate, but also like the truth that you are here to express to the world. Okay. And this is a little bit about how you do it, of what's natural to you, right? It doesn't mean it's how you express it, but it's how you are meant to share information. Sharing information and expressing is a little bit different. I'm going to explain that in a second here. But for the Aries, you're the initiator. You light a fire in other people. You light a fire under them to take action. You share bold ideas. You're going to lead the challenge. You're going to inspire action. I'm a Virgo sun. So for me, I'm the guide. I bring structure and discernment. I thrive on teaching tools, healing systems, frameworks, and I create clarity. Okay, so now when I was saying sharing and expressing, right? So how I like to share things is I like to take a lot of information and I like to teach it and boil it down into something super easy for people to digest and then take action on, right? So that's like my videos with the whiteboard and when I'm documenting things out. My expression though is a little bit different because even though I have a lot of details and very organized information in my average post, my energy is bold. So I make a lot of bold claims. I say things in ways people haven't said before. I talk about things in a very different way. That's more of my bold Aries expression, right? So this is where you need to take this information and still feel what's natural to you. Because if I were to just read this off the cuff, I might be like, oh, everything I need to do needs to be like really structured, right? But a lot of my best posts come from that more Aries energy of that like fucking and find out, let's just throw something together and boldly put it out there. And then some of my best content also comes from like a very detailed system. So it's embodying all of these different pieces. And that's why I want you to just like take everything here as a suggestion, information for you to then come together with what feels most natural to you. And you'll get to know this energy, right? In the beginning, I never even tried to detail anything out. I just showed up every day and was like, what do I have to say today, right? And then as I got deeper into delivering messages that felt a little bit more complicated to just get on a camera and talk about, that's when I started picking up the whiteboard and finding ways I could teach so people could actually like dive into the information. I could say the same exact thing in a video where I'm just talking to the camera and people weren't really getting it, versus if I took the whiteboard, people really understood what I was saying. So again, you have to play with this. Everything that I'm saying is coming from, I'm a year and a half into creating this content, and building a following and understanding how to express myself. So you've got to kind of play around with this. Your moon sign. This is your emotional world, okay? This is what you need to feel in order to be safe to be seen, but it also keeps your passion going, right? So, if we were to look at the Taurus, you thrive in a calm, predictable energy. So you need to post consistently, but you also need to make it aesthetically pleasing, not for your viewer, for you. So you might need like flowers and inspiration around you. You might need a lot of color. You might need things very muted. Like you've got to kind of pick what makes sense for you, right? I know for me, I'm a Scorpio moon. So for me, it comes from depth and truth. So I have to be vulnerable in what I'm doing, or I will feel kept in a box. Vulnerability was also my hardest thing to do online because, it puts it all out there and people can have a lot of opinions about it. But that's where my safety comes from, is being able to go really, really deep. I also have a Scorpio stellium, so it's like a very intense placement, but everything has to be deep, transformational, raw. I don't like to be surface level, right? So that is for me the passion that keeps me ignited. It makes me safe, it makes me passionate, and it'll make me show up every single day. So you got to pick yours out of here. Your Mercury sign, this is your voice, your tone, and your communication style. Okay. So this is like what comes naturally to you. So if you're a Cancer, you're naturally very emotional, like tap into that emotional resonance. You're intuitive, you have a nurturing voice. You speak best from the heart and you connect through empathy. So Cancers tend to be great, well, all water signs really tend to be great storytellers because you can really bring people into that emotional world, right? Cancers tend to have a very gender doesn't matter, but a very mothering, nurturing um, aspect to them. And so bringing that into your content, like people are going to feel that in your energy of like, this is that nurturing person who knows all, who can help me through X, Y, Z. So, really flow in and tap with that. Um, I'm a Virgo Mercury, so detailed, refined, and practical. You thrive with when teaching systems, tips, and logical breakdowns. I actually don't feel like that at all. I feel like I'm kind of the opposite. I don't like having to teach systems. I like to have a system for my teaching. I don't like teaching systems or teaching detailed things. So, like for this one, I would look at this and be like, this doesn't really resonate with me. Maybe it will eventually. It hasn't up until right now. So I would probably not include this in my visibility codex. It just doesn't feel natural to me. So I would have the awareness that this is a natural code within me, but it's not one that's activated right now. It's not one that flows for me. So I would just have an awareness of it, but I personally would not include it in my codex. Right. So again, we're taking everything with a grain of salt as a suggestion. Your midhaven is like your highest visibility path. This is where I reference when people are like, you're the CEO, you're the teacher, you're the comedian, you're the whatever. This is very much archetypal energy. So, if you're a Libra, you're seen as the peacemaker, the creative. So you bring a lot of balance, relational harmony. You can also bring a lot of like aesthetic creativity to your content. Um, a Sagittarius, you're seen as the visionary, the explorer. So you expand collective consciousness through truth and wisdom. So for me, I have Capricorn. So I'm seen as an authority and a builder. I lead with integrity, consistency, and grounded success. That feels very aligned for me. That would go into my codex, right? So you just pick and choose what seems and feels like truth to you. Also, though, notice if you reject something, is there a fear there, or is there something that you're rejecting, right? Because is it that it just doesn't feel natural to you, or is there a block there? And so even I look at that often with that Virgo placement, with the Virgo Mercury, because it is a natural code that is within me. So that should come very easily. So there's likely a block there or something that I would need to work through in order to activate that code. Activating all of these codes moves with our natural energy. So, if you're not using this, you're kind of on an uphill. The more you activate these codes, the more even plane you're traveling on. So again, I wouldn't put it in my codex right now because it's not natural to me, but it's something I would then put and look at and probably do some shadow work on. Okay, so this is your astrology visibility codes. Now I want to look at your human design. Okay, so for human design, you're going to run your chart and you can just use the free resources. I talked about this in the Break Free BCing course, but whether it's for astrology or human design, just go run your free charts for that. You don't need to pay for anything. And then you can come back here and dive in a little bit deeper. So in your human design, we're going to look at your profile lines. This is a core theme or archetype of your natural essence, your natural embodiment. And so I list out all of them here. And then there's 12 combinations of these profile lines. So when you look at yours, you're going to see like a 1-3 or 2-6 or whatever it is in your report. So you're going to come down here and you're going to see the combination. I just wanted you guys to kind of understand what each one is in case you wanted to dive a little bit deeper. But you're going to come down here and we're going to look at the combos. And so this is going to help you understand how you process information, whether it be from your own experience or knowledge that you're gathering from reading or courses or whatever, and then how to share it. Some people are meant to share in the midst of their process, in the midst of their mess. They teach from the fire. Most people are meant to teach after the fire. Most people are meant to teach in some form after they've gone through the thing, and then maybe they're in reflection, maybe they've mastered it, maybe they've embodied it. Everybody has like a little bit of a different thing, but this will tell you where you're meant to teach from. So for example, the 1-3, you're the researcher, the experimenter. So you like to test things out in real life. And then once you've like tested it a bunch of times and you've really embodied that and you're like, this is for sure the thing, that's when you're meant to share. Okay. If you are a 3-5, you're an experimenter and a problem solver. So you share both during and after your process, but you have to integrate before formal teaching, right? So you could be sharing some things on social media in real time, but before you actually teach the thing, you need to embody it. And so these are the natural frequencies that will not only come natural to you in sharing, it's how your people want to receive from you. So that's the cool thing about human design is it tells what people actually want from you, the people you're here to serve. So this is a really good way to see like, when am I supposed to be sharing? What does my process look like? When am I going to feel like I've mastered it, embodied it, whatever it is? So go through and grab your profile. And then we're going to move into your environment. This is where you are going to be your most creative. Okay. So markets, you might be someone who does well in coffee shops, farmers markets, like those public type shopping mall type settings. This is like collaboration and movement and energy all around you is going to inspire you. This is where you're going to get your creative ideas. Maybe you want to create content here. Maybe you just want to use it for the ideation, right? For me, I'm mountains. So whenever I hike, I get the best downloads. When I'm confused, when I'm stuck, when I'm frustrated, whatever it is, I go to the mountain. It moves all the energy. And maybe if yours is mountains, you want to do content in the mountains, whatever it is. But this is your natural environment to spark inspiration, to download the creative insight that you need, right? So sometimes I'll say, like, God, source, spirit, what is the message that needs to get out today? Show me how to communicate this, show me blah, 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 blah. And then for me, I'm going to go for a hike. For you, you might go in the kitchen, you might go to a market, wherever that is to allow that creative spark to fly. And then we have type and aura. So this is like if you're a manifester, a Manny generator, like what are you, right? That'll show in your report. And then this is going to be how you're felt. And then how you create. Again, another way to look at it. So as a manifester, people will feel your power and your direction instantly. You are meant to like light the match and then hand it off, right? So you start things, you spark the idea, you initiate something into the world and then have to hand it off. You are not someone to bring that vision to life. So if you are a manifester, you will want to make sure that you have the right structures and resources in place to help you carry that all the way through. Of course, if you're a manifester and you're a solopreneur, you are going to have to figure out how to bring things to fruition, but that could just making sure you have some like virtual assistants or some automated technology or something to help you. A generator, you are someone who responds. So this could be like somebody who is commenting on your video. This could be a client that you see, a conversation that sparks up at the grocery store, but something will excite you and light you up. And that is your key to follow that thing. Um, You also tend to have a lot of energy. Generators have tons of energy, and they can like bring anything to life. So it's a great placement to have. But don't force things. That's really important. Like all of these are great placements to have, but don't force things. That's what I want to say there. Manifesting generator, you're a combination, a projector. You are very focused, and people feel you almost feel like a library of information. And so you have a lot to share, but you're meant to share once invited, right? So if you are sharing on social media, that is invited. But if you're like at a family event and you just want to share knowledge or wisdom and nobody asked you, it may not be received well, right? Because you're meant to respond to the invitation or the initiation. So even in your social media, you might want to look for I mean, you would technically be responding to your marketing avatar's needs, right? Um, but you want it to be a very clear message. So especially as a projector, you don't want to water down your message because you're going to find the wrong audience. You really, because your people are waiting to invite you into their space, your message needs to be really clear so those people can find you and then hit follow and bring you into their space. You'd feel like a library of information though. And so you might want to just constantly be like sharing, but if you're not given some invitation or the door isn't open in some way, and I'm talking more real life, it can be shut down. Don't let that move into your social media though, okay? The reflector. So you're a mirror for others. People see themselves in your presence, which means you could see something out in the collective and then you're sharing on that and you're mirroring it back to people. So you might even see something on a high level, like on the world stage, and then see how it's impacting people, right? And so you're that mirror back for everything that's happening. So you're meant to observe, reflect, and then speak. So those are your different types. So you're going to take all of this and we're going to plug it into your visibility codex. Okay. So how I am seen and felt, how I express, how I connect emotionally, where I thrive, and when I share. So this is going to give you all of your natural essences. Again, I'm saying take everything with a grain of salt. If things did not align to you, don't include that. Just do some shadow work there and figure that part of it out. And then I just want you to kind of reflect what feels most natural to you about how you show up and create, whether it's on social media or in real life right now, because I know some of you won't have started posting yet. What patterns have you been fighting that actually align with your design? So if you're somebody who is like lit up by a spark in the moment, you're not somebody who can put that into your notepad and like execute that idea in 7 days. You're someone who needs to act and move on it now. You also might be someone who requires mastery. And so have you been showing up before you've mastered that thing? Like looking at your different ways to communicate is going to be really important. How does understanding this blueprint change how you're going to approach visibility? What permission are you giving yourself right now? What does authentic visibility look like now that you have this information? And what conflicts or blocks could arise? So, an example for this one, I'll give you a personal one. I'm an Aries rising and a Virgo sun. And so, my Aries rising loves to initiate things super fast and move on, and also burning shit down without even thinking about it. Where my Virgo sun likes to really plan things out, have a full understanding before putting anything out there. And so often when I get an idea, I'm ready to move. Like my Aries energy leads everything. So like the second I have an idea, I'm like, I'm executing on this immediately. And if I don't think about that and say, I've got to pull back and bring my Virgo energy in here, I will have 35 fires lit, burning everything down, creating 10 different things over here, and I'll lose interest and then I'll move on and nothing will develop from it. So I have to be aware of that. So I have to look at where these conflicts can arise and what is in my highest timeline. What is my best energy forward? And how could I bring balance between the Aries and between the Virgo so that I'm able to take fast action, but I'm able to do it in a way that I can follow through on, right? So look at those different conflict points that could exist for you. And then this is just a statement. I'm designed to express my truth through the energy of, I am seen as, and I lead by embodying blank. I communicate best through, I feel safe to create when, my timing flows when and I'm magnetic because I'm aligned with who I truly am. So again, very helpful, especially if you have been suppressed a lot. And then all of this is going to feed into your energetic brand foundations. So, your energetic essence. What emotions or sensations do people experience in your presence? Because again, remember your frequency is felt before people see you or hear you or even have a clue of what you're talking about. So, you want to be able to embody that frequency and use it to your best. What are you here to awaken, to normalize, to activate? Like what is it that you're here to do, right? For me, I'm here to break people free. I'm here to break the light workers free from these reoccurring healing loops, from the karmic patterns, from this fear of being seen, from their, poverty contracts, like all of that stuff. I'm here to break the light workers free. And that's what I want to activate in every message. So no matter what piece of content you look at of mine, that's the underlying theme, and you'll always be able to connect it back to that. So what is yours? What topics or conversations light you up? If your energy had a color, a texture, or a sound, what would it be? And then you can complete this statement. I am the frequency of, and when people enter my field, they feel blank. So one of my statements could be, I am the frequency of transformation, and when people enter my field, they feel hope. That's a big one. My message and my transformation. What transformation or shift does my work create for people? Again, you probably, hopefully, have done the personal branding course and have a lot of this nailed down, but this is just another way to look at it through a different lens when you're looking at it through social media. What do I most want my community to understand, feel, or embody? How does my story or journey connect? This is one that people get confused on because they'll say, well, my story doesn't really have anything to do with my yoga or my Reiki or my whatever, my business coaching. And it absolutely does. So your story can connect in a lot of different ways. Um, your story could be that you've overcome a lot of learning disorders or hardships or addictions, and that led you to create something that helps people. That's how your story connects to your business. You could be somebody who, well, I'll give you mine. I have overcome narcissism, I've overcome addiction, I've overcome all of these different things, which all of those led me to be at multiple rock bottoms. And so I am like an expert at getting people unstuck or out of their rock bottoms. It helped me become an expert of transformation, of transmutation, of alchemy, of all of these things. And so my story connects to what I do through that. So your story will either connect to your message, or it will connect to the reason you started your business, or it'll connect to a way you do things, or it'll connect to a way you want people to feel. And so that's how you're going to connect it back. And then what three words describe the essence of your message? I help blank to blank so they can. This is really important when you're creating like your social media bios. So I help light workers to break free so they can create impact and abundance. So you want to just think about how can you keep this so simple? Because if you make it like a lot of people want to put in like fancy words, or they put in like sometimes when I do these visibility audits, these content audits where I'll go and audit someone's profile and give them feedback on their page. Um, and sometimes there's so much in their bio that I'm like, I don't know what you do. And if I come across your page, I've only seen one piece of your content because you came up on my For You page, and then I click on your profile and I can't figure out what you do in one sentence, I'm probably going to move on, right? Like maybe if you see somebody 5 or 6 times on your For You page, you might spend a little bit more time, but like I want quickness. So if somebody is coming to you for the very first time in one quick sentence, what do you help them with? Keep this super simple. I help light workers to break free so they can create impact and abundance, right? Um, I help women to make, I help women heal their money beliefs so they can become abundant. I help, let me just think of some other businesses. Just trying to think of some different businesses here. I help entrepreneurs to create systems so they can generate more money and more freedom. Um, I help empaths heal generational trauma to find freedom. Like, I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways you could go about this. And we can always workshop them in the live coaching calls if you need help. Those are some examples. So this is your bio practice. I help who do what so they can, right? You want to give the transformation. People don't buy benefits and features, they buy transformations. We went over this in the personal branding course. And then you can have like an optional line here, right? If you have space, use it. But you could have an optional frequency, your tagline, your title. So I think for me, I have like I help light workers with their impact, blah, blah, blah. I think I have channel and coach for identity, purpose, and visibility. And then my call to action is to join the Ascension Lab. So that's what mine would look like. And so yours might be like download my free PDF guide thing, book a session, watch my free masterclass. I don't know, whatever, like whatever your call to action is. And then your optional tagline could be, if you want to expand a little bit more on who you help or help someone understand who you are. For me, I put coach and channel because I wanted to differentiate myself from just the coaching space or just the channel like reader space. I wanted it to be combined. I've had a lot of things there. I used to have like publicist and content creator. I used to have a bunch of different things. So again, you're not making it from a place of permanence. Like put what fits today, and if it changes in a month, who cares, right? Because this is an evolution. And then you just want to think about like the integration. What did you notice as you went through this process? What words, tones, or phrases carry most of your authentic energy? How do you want people to feel when they see your profile? And what new level of clarity or confidence do you feel about your online presence? How did this shift some energy? Because you want to anchor in these energetic shifts. Remember, these are like tactical practices, but this is moving energy in your body, and in your energy fields to create more clarity and space for whatever it is that you're birthing into this world. So it's always important to just take time and be like, wow, I have so much clarity now. This is how I'm going to start showing up in my life. Because you can also do this exercise and not implement any of it. And this is where the integration and the embodiment comes in. So sit through that, think through that. How can you bring this into your everyday life? How can you bring this into your social media, into your business, into your brand, into your sales pages, like into all that you are communicating into the world? But this is your energetic brand, your visibility codex, and now you have the foundation for creating your content.